Sí,
Sí, son las 10 de la mañana y muy buenos días y bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Sí, espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope you guys are all well.
sí,
Sí,
sí, sí,
bastante bien. Pretty well.
sí.
Bastante bien, sí. Ah, acabo de podar los árboles. I just finished pruning trees yesterday. Sí, ayer.
Oh,
Yesterday, actually, sí. Así que sí, todo va bien. Bueno, hoy vamos a practicar con muchas cosas. Vamos a leer y practicar la pronunciación, un poquito de shadowing otra vez. Sí, bien. Y después de practicar y hablar un poquito de los dos vídeos, sí. Am, Tenemos una lección breve con llevar y práctica con llevar. Llevar es un verbo muy común en español. Ah, pero llevar es uno de los verbos en español que tiene varias definiciones, varias maneras de usar ese verbo. ¿Sí? Así que vale la pena repasar, it's worth it to review, y pensar un poquito en el verbo llevar, y vamos a hacerlo hoy. Y también vamos a tener un poquito con indirect versus direct a little bit again, because again, we have a lot of people who have put that in as a request as something to work on because it is a real toughie. Es muy difícil. Ok, pero primero vamos a empezar con el shadowing y tengo que engrandecer la información que tengo en la pantalla aquí. Ok. Y recuerden, por favor, please remember, we're going to do this. If you didn't try the shadowing last week, do make an effort to try a little bit because I'm not going to give you a huge chunk, too much. I bit off more than I can chew. We want to avoid that situation. I'm not going to give you a great big, huge, long sentence, and then you've got to repeat exactly after me. I'm going to break it apart into kind of manageable chunks because that is the way you're going to feel more comfortable. And we were continuing from the ... situation. So we're going to take a few paragraphs here. Otra vez es el artículo de la cartera. This is that wallet thing. O mejor dicho, no llevar cartera. Llevar cartera, no llevar cartera.
Ujú, así
Carrying a
es.
wallet or not carrying a wallet. You see? Okay. Bueno, hay alguien que quiere empezar, and this will be, I'm going to take a small chunk and somebody will repeat exactly after me. Is there anybody who wants to start off with this? ¿Alguien? Bueno, sí, Carrie. Fantástico.
I'll try
Bien.
anyway.
Bueno, y puedes ver la pantalla. You can see my screen, ¿sí?
Yes, sí.
Ok. Lo suficiente grande. Big enough?
Ujú, ujú, sí. Yes, sí.
Fantástico. Ok. Mientras tanto,
Mientras tanto,
los adultos mayores
los adultos mayores
les darían a una billetera tradicional.
le darían a una billetería tradicional
Sí. Como portar documentos,
como portar documentos
como la licencia de conducir,
como la licencia de conducir,
pases de abordar,
pases de abordar,
Bien. Y boletos para un evento. Perdón, momento. Y boletos para un evento.
y boletos para un evento. Evento.
Evento, sí. Ah, bien, bien. Bueno, ¿una frase más, Carrie? ¿Una frase más? Sí, ok. Y después Carolyn, ¿sí? Bueno, algunos de esos artículos digitales.
Es
Oh,
me?
perdón. Ok, sí, Carolyn, sí, sí. Algunos de esos artículos digitales
Algunos de estos artículos digitales
eh, ah, se pueden agregar
se pueden agregar
a las aplicaciones de cartera de Apple y Google,
a las aplicaciones de cartera de Apple y Google.
mientras que otros,
Mientras que otros,
como las tarjetas de seguros,
como las tarjetas de seguros,
se pueden descargar
se pueden descargar
mediante aplicaciones de terceros.
mediante aplicaciones de más tiempo terceros.
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 Terceros es como thirds. Aplicaciones de tercero, a third party app. A third party app. Sí, es así. No se puede usar third party como fiesta, porque no tiene nada que ver con una fiesta, sí, third party app, sí. Ok, vale, sí. Hiciste bien. Bueno, alguien más quiere practicar un poquito. Bueno, Diana y entonces Trish, ¿sí? Diana, cuando decidí salir
Cuando decidí salir
al mundo sin cartera
al mundo sin cartera
durante una semana,
durante una semana,
usé solo mi celular
usé solo mi celular
para hacer compras,
para hacer compras,
ir a bares,
ir a bares,
cenar fuera
cenar fuera
e ir al cine.
e ir al cine.
Hasta compré cangrejo
Hasta compré cangrejo
de la lancha de un pescador.
de la lancha de un pescador.
Sí, pescador. Pescador es fisherman, ¿sí?
Pescador.
Sí, pescador, sí. Bueno, Trish, ¿quieres continuar? El teléfono inteligente
El teléfono inteligente
me bastó para casi todas estas situaciones.
me bastó para casi todas esas situaciones.
Mejor, bien, sí. Aunque pagar la cena
Aunque pagar la cena
fue más complicado
fue más complicado
y usar una licencia de conducir digital
y usar una licencia de conducir digital
para comprar vino
para comprar vino
en una tienda
en una tienda
de abarrotes
de abarrotes
fue imposible.
fue imposible.
Bien, sí, perfecto. Perfecto, bien. Vale, entonces sí, estaba hablando de de
You can go.
me bastó. This is a verb that is being used kind of like gustar. Bastar is to be enough. See, to be enough. So, me bastó. It was the smartphone was enough for me. or was good enough for me, or worked well enough. ¿Sí?
Mm.
Bien. Entonces, so it worked well enough for me in almost all situations. Yeah, in almost all situations. Although paying for dinner was more complicated, and using your driver's license, a digital driver's license, to buy wine at a grocery store. Tienda de abarrotes es como supermercado. ¿Sí? Okay. Fue imposible. That was impossible. Quizás los dependientes en las tiendas, en los supermercados, no saben usar, ¿sí? Este tipo de wallet, ¿sí? O quizás no pueden verificar las cosas así. Ok. Vale. ¿Hay alguien que quiere leer aquí bueno, sí, Marianne, sí.
Okay.
Momentito, tengo que moverme. Ok, si quieres dejar tu cartera en casa
Si quieres dejar tu cartera en casa
o solo deseas cargar con menos cosas en el bolsillo,
o solo deseas cargar con menos cosas en el bolsillo,
sí. A continuación, lo que debes saber.
a continuación, lo que debes saber.
Ok, bien, sí. Y fíjense, o solo deseas cargar, or if you only want to carry around. There are different ways to express carrying around stuff. Cargar is one. Cargar has more of a feel of being like weighted down because, it goes back to that idea of cargo, hauling stuff around, yeah? But llevar is a verb you could have used instead of cargar here. You could use llevar. So, again, which is more correct? There isn't one that's more correct. If you want to say carry around. Llevar, I would say, is a little more conversational. But you may hear people using cargar as they did here. Y aquí pagos, payments. Ok, Kathleen, ¿quieres leer aquí un poquito? ¿Sí? En muchas tiendas, los usuarios de Android y iPhone
Los usuarios de Android y iPhone
pueden usar Google Pay y Apple Pay
pueden usar Google Pay y Apple Pay
acercando su celular a los lectores.
acercando su celular a los lectores
Al lado de las cajas registradoras.
al lado de las cajas registradoras.
Bien, sí. So, acercar is drawing close to. So, what they're saying is you can use Android and iPhone users with Apple Pay or Google Pay can put their device up close to the readers. Lectores es readers. Por lo general, se usa la palabra lector para indicar una persona que lee algo, ¿sí? Una persona que lee algo de un papel. Pero en este caso, se usa la palabra lector también para el aparato, the device that does the reading. So the reader device, yeah, is what they're talking about, not an actual person who is doing reading. See?
I have a question.
Sí, dime.
That top line there, since you're going to be talking about pronouns, discuss this los usuario. Oh, I thought that was a LOS at the end of that. Now that I look closer, I see it's iOS. Never mind.
Users. Usuarios
mind.
users.
I
Sí.
thought it had another. Yeah, we're good.
Ah, ok, vale, sí. Bueno, ¿alguien quiere leer aquí un poquito de shadowing? And who'd like to pick up from here? Bueno, Marcos, ok. Muchos negocios pequeños
Muchos negocios pequeños
aceptan pagos con aplicaciones de terceros
aceptan pagos con aplicaciones de terceros
como Venmo
como Venmo
que te permiten escanear un código de barras
que te permiten escanear un código de barras
para enviar dinero.
para enviar dinero.
Bien, bueno, sí. Y otra vez tenemos aquí aplicaciones de terceros, third party apps. Es el término para party apps, ¿sí? Aplicación, a veces se usa app. Sometimes you hear people using the word app. I think even with a younger crowd of people, with very young people, I think they do, you will hear them using that anglicized, just shortened word app. Pero aplicaciones, if you've got an article that's reading that's more formal, you'll see the full word generally, aplicaciones, ¿sí? Y escanear, here's a great example of a word that's really borrowed over from the English, yeah, to scan. But notice it can't be scanear, escanear. Anything that starts with ST, any word that starts with ST, SP, SC in Spanish has to have an E in front of it. Always. That's like 100% thing. So, think about it. Español, SP, escanear. ¿Sí? Bien. That's just the way that goes. And Spanish speakers, no matter how experienced they are, you'll always hear a little come out in front of their mouths when they're speaking English. Even a word like street, you'll hear a little in front of it because that's what they're used to doing. And it's just something all words have. It's always an EST, an ESP, an ESC. So, that's a habit they have that's almost impossible for them to drop because it's so, it's a reflex thing. Okay, bueno, aquí, sin embargo, ¿quién quiere leer aquí? ¿Alguien quiere leer? Anybody who wants to read with me here?
I can
Bueno,
read.
sí, Laura, próximo, sí, Laura. Sin embargo,
hay un riesgo inherente cuando dependes por completo una billetera móvil.
Bien, sí. Y inherente, here's a tough word because we want to put that H in there. Yeah. Tenemos inherent, pero inherente. Necesita la H, it needs the H to be spelled, pero no se pronuncia la H. ¿Sí? Inherente. So nevertheless, there's an inherent risk when you completely depend on a mobile wallet. ¿Sí? Muy corto. Laura, continúa, por favor. Abby Hoyer.
Javi Oyer, de 21 años, de Punta Gorda, Florida, dijo que no grababa con una billetera por motivos de seguridad. En caso de un asalto, el ladrón solo tomaría su celular.
Bien, sí. Vale, bueno. La persona de Punta Gorda, Florida, ¿sí? Dijo que no cargaba con una billetera por motivos de seguridad. He did not carry a wallet for security reasons in case of being mugged. Yeah, mugged, un asalto. The thief would only take the cell phone. Bueno, sí, ¿quién quiere leer aquí un poquito? ¿Un poquito más? ¿Un poquito más? Bueno, Lori, sí, de todos modos.
De todos modos, los ladrones podrían hacer pagos y sacar el dinero de tu cuenta si te obligaron a darle su contraseña.
Sí, si le obligaran a darle su contraseña. If they forced you to give your contraseña, es password, ¿sí? Password. Así, bien. Ok. Bien. And let's leave it about 20 minutos. Yeah, 20 minutes of reading is good. You guys did really, really well. I can tell that I can hear a difference between, as we go on, move on to further weeks, that you're getting faster with repeating after a shadowing drill. And that's a good thing. That's as it ought to be. So you're starting to adapt and get used to that way better. Even if you think it's kind of an uncomfortable thing to do, it actually is getting quicker for you guys than it was at the start. Ok. Vale. Un poquito más. Antes de seguir, antes de continuar con otro tema, hablando de llevar, before we move on to that, quiero saber si hay alguna pregunta de que se trata aquí de ese video. I want to know if you had any questions from that little market video, and that was just for fun, so that you saw all the different stuff that was in the markets and how they talked about the different fruits and all of that. Sí, ¿hay alguna pregunta o no? Es un video más obvio, ¿no? Porque fue un tour, fue un recorrido de un mercado público a un mercado en Colombia, y ella habló de la cantidad de fruta y vegetales y todo eso, ¿sí?
Una pregunta.
Sí.
Go ahead,
Go
Lori.
ahead, Mark.
Well, I'm just kind of wondering if I'm the only one who's looking at that screen wondering, did I skip something in the work for today? Because I didn't recognize that at all.
Oh.
It was at the very bottom of the homework. It's at the very bottom of email, the last thing.
I'll resend that again, just so you've got that link again. Yeah, I think it was the very last tag end of the video. Yeah, it was the very last link that you had. Sí, bien. And that was not anything that was essential for you doing any kind of practice this week. It was just, the listening comprehension to hear a story and hear her talk about stuff in her environment.
Marilyn, I did notice on that shadowing video, she was trying to get us to sign up for a tour with her sister. And I thought, you should do that. You could take us on a tour to Tucson or something like that. There we go. We pay you for that.
Yeah.
Rocky Point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sí, claro. Everybody, yeah, and you will notice, disclaimers are always, especially the closer you are to the beginning of the calendar year, there are lots of disclaimers for various trips.
I had one question about I noticed for bananas, she said banano. So instead of banana with an A, it's banano, but isn't there another word too?
Words are one of the, plátano. Plátano is the word that I always first learned, plátano. Which word you use for banana is regionally determined. Let's put it that way. Some regions prefer to use the word banana. Some prefer to use plátano. But people kind of know the variations on a lot of those food words. You know, once in a while, there'll be something that isn't understood, but those two terms of plátano or banana would be understood pretty much everywhere. Okay. Bien. Let's move on. We have a special request for working on llevar because it was noticed that llevar, it's like you expect it to mean one thing, but it's like, I can tell from the context, it doesn't mean what I think it would mean. And, you know, depending on the video you listen to, they'll tell you there are 9 different uses for llevar. Yeah. And it might be as high as that, 6 or 7. 6 or 7. Yeah, there are different. Actually, this video doesn't even have all of the uses of llevar, but it has quite a few. Llevar is very popularly used, but you have to be listening to all the other words around it. Sometimes it's just a difference in what that verb means. Sometimes it's an actual structure that will carry other words along with it, like words talking about time. And you'll see that here. And we're going to listen to this and then practice some uses of llevar in some smaller group speaking practice when we're done. So, okay. Bien, I do not think we need subtitles here because he's going to explain this whole thing in both languages.
Is used in tons of different expressions and situations and contexts, and it can be a little bit confusing. So in this video, we are going to look at some of the most common uses of llevar. Not all of them, not all the expressions that it's found in, but some of the most common ones so that you can start to recognize it and understand it and incorporate it into your own vocabulary. If you're new here, my name's Connor, and this is Breakthrough Spanish, where I help simplify Spanish so that you can speak confidently faster. The first use of llevar that we're going to look at is to mean to carry or to take with you.
And so the little article we had was using cargar, which is more related to that cargo, like load up, yeah. But llevar is really a more conversational way to express this idea. It would be my number 1 pick to use in just saying what you carry with you or take with you. And llevar can be as simple as take. And I know, and you may say, well, what's the difference between llevar and tomar? Tomar is a verb that also has a bunch of uses, right? Tomar can be to take, but remember, tomar with a T, T-O-M-A-R, tomar can mean to take, like, you know what? Somebody says, toma. They want you to take it out of your hand. Toma. Yeah. Tomar can also be to eat or to drink. Yeah. But llevar is very, very frequently used with taking something along with you. Okay. And whether you're taking it in your purse or in your pocket or in your wallet or, you know, whatever. So just like quedar had that meaning of remain, even in all of its other uses, that idea of remain kind of stuck to the verb llevar as a core. Take is stuck to the core of llevar in many, many, many of its uses. So to carry, to move something from one place to another is llevar. Sometimes in English, we even use the idea of bring for llevar. Okay. But that carries along with it a little extra bit of complication because in Spanish, we use the verb traer, bring, only when you're in the place where that item is going to be brought to. Sounds a little weird to the English thinking, yeah, brain, but that's a thing in Spanish, yeah. When you look at the waiter, trágame la cuenta, por favor. Bring me the bill, please. Trágame la cuenta, right? You would not take llevar, take the bill, you know, or I'll take the bill. Trágame la cuenta, bring me the bill. And you'll be using traer because we're in the place where you want the bill to end up. And that becomes a thing in Spanish. But sometimes llevar is used for that idea of bring. Like, ¿qué puedo llevar? What can I bring? Right? You get an invitation to go someplace and you ask, what can I bring? And it's, ¿qué puedo llevar? What can I bring? That would really be, yeah. But what it really means is that core idea of take. ¿Qué puedo llevar? What can I take along with me when I go to that place? So, llevar to carry or take with you.
For example, llevaste las maletas al cuarto.
Did you take the suitcases to the room? Right? You might even say in English, did you bring the suitcases to the room? You might. It would be kind of interchangeable, but llevaste.
Did you take the suitcases to the room? Or por las mañanas llevo a mis hijos al colegio.
And this is the one that we often miss in English. Llevar is used when you pick somebody up and take them somewhere. So that core of llevar, the core meaning that tends to carry through, even in a lot of its many meanings, is that idea of picking something up, moving it to a different place and setting it down someplace else. Yeah. It's that whole idea. That is what's buried into the essence of llevar. Por las mañanas llevo a mis hijos al colegio. In the mornings, I take my kids to school. So I pick up my kids, I stick them in the car, I drive them over, and I drop them off there. That's llevar. Llevar means you're picking something up and transporting it or moving it from one space to another. Okay.
Mornings, I take my kids to school. This
Take
can
your
also
kids
have a
to
similar meaning related to guide or to show around. For example, fuimos a Roma con un guía y nos llevó por toda la ciudad.
We went to Rome with a guide and he took us all over the city, or he showed us all over the city. Yeah. He gave us a tour. You can use llevar with that. Nos llevó means he took us through all the little ins and outs of the city. Por toda la ciudad is throughout the city. Okay. Or all around the city, por toda la ciudad. But nos llevó, he took us, right? He took us. And we are the people being transported. We are the item being moved around, right? To various places.
We went to Rome with a guide and he showed us all around the city. The second way to use llevar, and one of the most common ways, colloquially, is to talk about how long you have been doing something.
And this is something we don't think about a lot, to talk about duration of time you've been doing something.
Or the amount of time in general. So rather than, I have been doing this or that, or I have been here for 2 months, you can simply use llevo. I carry. Llevo 2 meses acá en Perú. I've been here in Peru for 2 months.
I've been here for 2 months. And there are a few different ways you can do this in Spanish, but this is one very, very common use of llevar. I've been here for 2 months. And I know there's no word for in there. There's no for. Yeah. Por and para don't come into play at all. Llevo 2 meses acá en Perú. They're telling you the duration of time of doing whatever that verb is.
Or, ¿cuánto tiempo llevas en tu nuevo trabajo? How long have you been at your new job?
How long have you been at your new job? How much time do you carry over in your new job? Sí.
Or el hombre llevaba 2 semanas enfermo antes de llamar al doctor.
Yeah. The guy was sick for a whole 2 weeks before calling the doctor.
The man was sick for 2 weeks. Literally, he carried 2 weeks sick before calling the doctor. It can also be used in a similar way to talk about how much time something needs to be completed. For example, coser una camisa a mano lleva mucho tiempo.
Yeah, sewing a shirt by hand, a mano means by hand, takes a lot of time.
To sew a shirt by hand takes a lot of time. The next use of llevar is to wear clothing. For example, llevo una camiseta amarilla, I'm wearing a yellow shirt, or llevo una nueva camisa para la entrevista de trabajo. I'm wearing a new shirt for the job interview.
So this use of llevar, as in wearing clothing, I think is more common in Spain. In a lot of Latin America, you will hear where used llevar not used for wearing clothing. You might hear something like tener puesto, and that might change to tener puesta. So, por ejemplo, I'll give you an example using the same thing that he's got here. Llevo una nueva camisa para la entrevista. Tengo, in much of Latin America, you'll hear it more commonly used with a different set of words. And here's a set of words. Tengo puesta. I have put on me. Tengo puesta una camisa nueva. I've got a new shirt on. So wear for clothing in Latin America is often tener puesto or tener puesta. And that puesto or puesta looks at the article of clothing. So if it's a camisa, tengo puesta una camisa nueva. I've got a new shirt on. See? Tengo puestos pantalones nuevos. I've got new pants on. Yeah. Para la, la entrevista, perdón. Okay? Bien. So just keep in mind that llevar for wearing clothing, I think, is a little more common in Spain because I think they use that tener puesto structure more. But Latin Americans definitely know what it means, and they definitely know to include it in these videos. So, you know.
The next way to use llevar is to talk about getting along with someone.
But when you get along with someone, it's got to become reflexive. Yeah. Get along with. Llevarse bien. So if you don't get along with, you just make it negative. No llevarse bien, right? Or you can change that bien into a mal. Llevarse mal. Yeah, means getting along. You get along badly, right? So the bien might become a mal. You can't just take llevarse bien and make it negative. No llevarse bien. Yeah, for getting along or not getting along, as in amiability, right? How well people gel together.
So you might hear teachers say, todos los alumnos se llevan bien este año. Se llevan bien. They get along well. All the students.
Yeah, all the students get along well this year or are getting along well. Se llevan bien.
Students get along well this year. Or parece que te llevas bien con tus hermanos. It seems that you get along well with your siblings. Next, you can use llevar in restaurants. If you want to know what something contains, llevar can be a verb that also means to contain.
And this is very, very, very common. Super common. Also common in cooking videos when people talk about what they're doing as they're making a recipe. When you want to talk about what stuff is inside of a certain dish, llevar is used a lot to talk about what's in.
For example, if you want to ask if the soup has chicken in it, you could say, la sopa lleva pollo.
Yeah. And you might think, why not use tener? Yeah. And you could, la sopa tiene pollo, or hay pollo en la sopa. All of those are okay. But these are just, the point is, these are variations. And llevar is often very specifically used to talk about things that are added into a specific dish or a specific recipe. So, which is more common? It depends on what the person wants to use, but with recipes, lleva is super
Does the soup
common.
carry chicken, literally? Does
Carolyn, question?
Sí, dime.
Is it just used with what's in food, or can it be used with what's in other stuff?
Oh, yeah. Food.
Like the contents of a suitcase.
Oh, okay. Ah, buena pregunta. Sí. Well, contents of a suitcase, yes, you'll still use often llevar because it means you're taking or carrying something within that container. Yeah. So suitcase, yes. But you know, if it's something I'm like sewing on an outfit, no. If it's something I am doing to fix up something around the house, I creo que no. I don't think so. Yeah, more specific to recipe, or definitely what you put inside of a, like if you've got a you know, a valise, an attaché case or a suitcase, definitely then yes, in those two situations. Buena pregunta, good question.
But a drawer, you wouldn't use it for things in a drawer.
Oh, in a drawer? Creo que no, I don't think so, no.
You're not taking it
Okay,
in.
because the drawer doesn't get picked up and removed very often, unless you're doing what I was doing with moving all the furniture out of one room. Yeah. So yeah, for a drawer, not so much, because that idea of moving the whole drawer someplace else, it could happen, but boy, you hope you don't have to do that a lot. Yeah. Whereas the suitcase naturally does get moved. So what do you take along in your suitcase? Sí. Carolyn, sí, tienes pregunta.
What about a car? I filled my car. I took things in my car.
Sí, llevar. Sí. Llevo una chaqueta en el carro. I'm taking a jacket in the car. Llevo cinco cajas en la carra. I'm taking along 5 boxes in the car, you know, and in baúl, in the trunk. Yeah, like that. Sí. Because again, buen ejemplo, Carolyn, because if it's in your car, you're taking that to move it to a different place, to a different location. And llevar often carries with it putting something in a different location, but you really don't expect that with the food thing, do you? Because it's not like, you know, yeah, moving food, but llevar often with recipes.
I have a question too.
Sí, dime.
I took a picture of this Duolingo and here it is. You're talking about it now.
Oh.
I'm taking it now. The answer was me lo llevo ahora.
Sí.
Is that a reflexive also? I'm taking it now?
Oh,
I thought it would just be
qué buena
llevo,
pregunta.
lo llevo.
Let's hang on to that. We're going to look at that when we're done with this video. Me lo llevo es frecuente. This is frequent, and I'll tell you how that is used because I don't think he touches on that in the video. So hang on to that idea. We're going to put that in a different share box. Buen ejemplo, really good example. Okay.
I missed it, by the way.
Okay, so what I'm going to tell you, the me lo llevo is used in a store setting.
Okay, good.
Store setting. That's the golden key for me lo llevo, but we'll come back to that in a minute. En un
Okay.
minuto.
Llevarse. So llevar in the reflexive can also have the meaning of to steal or to make off with. For example,
Oh,
un ladrón en el metro se llevó mi billetera.
Yeah, make off with. But again, it has to do with moving something to a different location. If somebody's robbing something out of you, yeah. Un ladrón en el metro se llevó mi billetera. He made off with my wallet.
A thief in the metro stole my wallet. And last, with llevar, we can use it to talk about the amount of age between two people.
Okay,
So
this we're not going to practice so much because I don't think this is like a frequent use like some of the other
you
ones
can
are,
say,
but
le llevo 3 años a mi hermana. I'm 3 years older than my sister. Or, ¿cuántos años te lleva tu hermano? How many years older, how much older is your brother?
because they're carrying years over on you. Yeah.
¿Cuántos años te lleva? Te, to you, does your brother have on you? ¿Cuántos años te lleva tu hermano? How much older is your brother than you? Thanks for watching. I hope this.
Okay, bien. Let's take a look at this. Me lo llevo un minuto. Es buen ejemplo. This is a good thing to talk about because this is something that you hear a lot in a store setting. This is after you've paid for an item and in a store, yeah. And it might be food, it might typically often be clothing, shoes, stuff like that. Me lo llevo is kind of like the English idea of saying, I'll take it.
Take it.
Okay.
With me. And the me part is the with me. Me lo llevo. I'll take it. And that means, yep, I'm buying it. I'm taking it with me. In some cases, it might even me lo llevo if you're talking about the zapatos, shoes, because you've got to buy 2 shoes. You know, most of us don't have 1 foot. So me los llevo. Yeah, I'll take them. I'll take them. So this is used definitely in a store setting. And yes, there's got to be a thing you're taking or buying, purchasing, and therefore I am buying it in the store. I am picking it up, carrying it someplace else to my home, to my car, wherever I'm going to use that item, to my house. Yeah. But I'm doing this for myself. So it is reflexive in a way. Yeah, it is. I am taking it for myself, and here is the item that is being purchased. It might be a la, it could be a los, it could be a las. Yeah.
Okay.
Bien, entendido, understood? See?
Yes.
But the context you'll hear that me lo llevo is in a store or maybe a restaurant. And para llevar means the one thing he didn't touch on here, which is really, really common with llevar, is to go. To go. But generally, it'll just be para llevar. Un café para llevar. A coffee to go. Yeah. So para llevar means you're not going to sit down in the restaurant, in the cafe, and eat it right there. It means you're taking it and it's leaving the store totally. It's to go.
Not para ir or something like that.
Yeah, not to go. So getting stuff to eat or drink to go, we won't use para ir or para irme. It'll be para llevar. And I don't think it matters which side of the Atlantic you're on. Everybody uses para llevar.
Okay.
To go. So when it's take out food, it's para llevar. And I was kind of surprised he didn't use that use of llevar in the video, but to go for food when it's not a sit down situation that is what's going to happen. Okay. Bien. Okay, vamos a practicar un poquito. Let's practice a few of these. We'll take a look at these before you go off into breakout rooms, but these are conversational uses of llevar. Some of them are en presente. Esto sí en presente, pero también es posible en pretérito, también es posible en el imperfecto. Ok, ¿qué ingredientes lleva tu receta favorita? ¿Qué ingredientes lleva tu receta favorita? We would probably say, what ingredients does your favorite recipe have? Yeah, but instead of tener, you could use tener, pero es muy común decir llevar aquí. ¿Ok? Bien. Segundo, sí, que llevas cuando cenas con algunos amigos. What do you wear when you eat dinner with a few friends? You know, you're out somewhere, ¿sí? ¿Qué llevas contigo cuando caminas en el desierto o en el parque? Y sí, ¿qué llevas contigo? What do you take with you? What do you take along with you? Contigo, ¿sí? Y cuando viajas por avión, ¿qué te lleva aquí? ¿Quién te lleva al aeropuerto? ¿Quién te lleva? Who takes you? Somebody has to throw you in the back seat of their car, drive you over, yeah, and dump you off at the airport. And that action is llevar, because even though we're not talking about a thing you're taking, here we're talking about items that you take along with you in your pockets, in a backpack, in a purse, in your hand, en la mano, in your hand. But here we're talking about actually taking a human being. ¿Quién te lleva? Who takes you to the airport? Okay, see? 7 minutos, 7 minutes. Sound about right for that? Sí, para conversar un poquito. Okay, so I want you to go out and practice those a little bit. Uy, ¿cuántos grupos? Quizás grupos de... Sí, 3 grupos. No, quizás 4. We're going to add 1 extra room. Un cuartito extra. Okay, you will see the questions in the room after you hit your join button. I'll be able to pop those questions into the room with you. Aquí. Bien. Vale. Y tengo que poner mi cronómetro. I need to set my timer. Para 7 minutos. Para que puedan practicar so that everybody gets enough time to...
Can you put me back in? I
Oh!
help out.
Sí, sí, sí. A ver.
Thank you.
Ooh, I think it's going to make me move you to a different room here. Perdón.
Oh, I'm
For
in
some reason,
forward.
it doesn't let me put you back in the original room.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Who knew? Why? No entiendo por qué. I don't know why, pero es así, but it is that way. One of my little mysteries of Zoom, and this is not the first time it's happened. Somebody got bumped out or had to leave for 30 seconds and come back in. Oh, it didn't.
Marilyn.
No, wouldn't let you in?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try one more time. Una vez más.
No, I don't know what it is. I keep turning it off. So, okay, here we go. I'm back to the original room.
Okay, back to original. Now it worked. Ahora sí funciona. Uy, ¿por qué? Por fin, por fin, por fin. 6 minutos más. Okay, we're going to send folks a message if they've got 1 more minute. Vale, bien. Okay, and now everybody officially has 1 minute to kind of clean up, tie up the loose ends. Inmediatamente.
Tenemos una pregunta.
Okay, dime.
Número 2.
Okay.
Could that be other than what do you wear? Could that be what do you bring? Could that be how do you take yourself? I mean, can you interpret all of those in the same way?
Generally, see, it could mean where. Yeah, actually, yeah, that one I meant as where, but yeah, it could be, what do you bring? Actually, we've got a little video on that too. See, que llevas, what do you bring?
That's
Yeah. Oh, no, perdón. Yeah, the idea I had in my mind was, what do you bring over to somebody's house? I should have been a little more explicit on that. Gracias. Thank you for that. Okay, por ejemplo, sí, tenemos una pregunta y es buena pregunta, sí. Esta idea en número 2, que ¿cuál es la idea principal o la idea más común de que llevas cuando cenas? It could mean what do you wear when you go out to eat, but generally that one is going to mean what do you bring when you eat dinner with friends, meaning like you bring something to the dinner.
right.
Así, bien, see? You're going to see a little demonstration of that in a bit.
What would be, pregunta, what would
sí.
be the clue that they're asking, what do you wear, as opposed to what do you bring?
¿Qué llevas puesto? That would be more of a clue for wearing on your body.
okay.
Puesto,
Okay.
that puesto,
Puesto.
meaning it's placed
Okay.
on your body. Or like, puesto, put on. Yeah, yeah. Es así, ¿sí? Entonces, por ejemplo, número 2, por lo general, llevo una botella de vino. Usually I bring a bottle of wine. Por lo general, llevo una botella de vino cuando ceno con algunos amigos, pero a veces si el amigo prefiere cerveza, por ejemplo, llevo un six-pack, ¿sí? Llevo cerveza, llevo cerveza para cenar. Ok. ¿Qué llevas contigo cuando caminas en el desierto o en el parque? ¿Qué llevas contigo? What do you take along when you go for a walk?
Llevo mucho agua.
Mucha agua, casi siempre, sí, agua. Aquí donde vivimos es lo más importante, the most important thing. ¿Sí? Bien.
Llevo,
¿Cómo se dice sunblock?
Sunblock. Hay varios términos para hablar, varias palabras para indicar sunblock. Protector solar, a veces. Crema solar, crema protectiva. So there are different variations on sunblock. Bloqueador. Crema solar, bloqueador. Creo especialmente en México se oye con frecuencia bloqueador en México. Sí, ok.
Is it crema bloqueador or just bloqueador?
Bloqueador, sí. Bloqueador. Blocker, porque es sunblocker, ¿no? Es sunblocker. So depending on where you are, and I think those are pretty interchangeable. I hear people using flip-flopping between terms with those. So I don't think there's any one term that really carries over a lot. Although I will say, I think the closer you get to the US, I think a lot of people do hear that word sunblocker a lot. And I think in some areas of Mexico, you're going to hear bloqueador quite a lot. Ok. Buena pregunta. ¿Hay más preguntas o no? ¿No?
Yes, we had one, on the last question. I was trying to make sure I kind of got the syntax right on, bringing myself to the airport, or, because it was this requires the, reflexive, so is it just me llevo?
Oh, okay. I bring myself. Yo manejo. Yo conduzco. It'll be one of those two. You'll probably flip out into a different verb.
Exactly.
Yeah? Because,
we wanted to use the spirit of using llevar.
Yeah, the idea there is probably, well, I drive. Yeah.
Right.
Manejo, ¿sí? Conduzco. Sí, eso es. Yeah. Do you have to use that exact same verb when you answer? Quizás no, maybe not. In some instances, you may not. Okay. Vale, bueno. Adelante, más práctica aquí, otra vez con llevar. And here we're going to do, perdón. Aquí llevabas, quiero que llevabas. Bien. Okay. Some of these are presentes, some are son ejemplos de hablar del pasado. ¿Cuáles son las 5 cosas más importantes que llevas con tu equipaje de mano? Carry-on luggage, equipaje de mano, carry on. So this is handbag, literally, but your carry-on is called equipaje de mano. cuando vuelas, when you generally fly. ¿Cuáles son las 5 cosas más importantes que llevas con tu o en tu equipaje de mano? Quizás sí, en tu equipaje de mano cuando vuelas. ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas en Arizona? Here is something that we don't think about a lot, but this is something to say, how long have you been in a place? How long have you been in Arizona will be often phrased as, ¿cuánto tiempo llevas en Arizona? How long have you been here? And you are still here. Yeah. So you're still here, so that's why that's en presente, ¿sí? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevabas en tu último empleo? How long were you at your last job? Whatever your last job was, see? If it's how long are you at this job that you hold now, you know, if you're talking about a job that you hold right now and you're still in that job, we'll change that verb from llevabas to llevas. So how long were you at your last job? Sí, Laura.
It's just wondering, are those verbs that you would also flip out of, like you were suggesting to Mark, like with the other lleva example? Is this also like trabajaba en para
Yeah,
10 años?
sí, sí.
What? 10? Oh, I forgot the
Sí,
number.
sí, por ejemplo, sí. You could hear this phrase as ¿hace cuántos años que trabajaste? How long ago did you work in that place? You know, there are different little riffs on this, but how long were you working at your last job? We'll often use llevar. ¿Cuánto tiempo llevabas en tu último empleo? And did you used to work? Yeah. So it'll be that imperfecto there. And you'll answer with the yo form there. See? ¿Con quién te llevas muy bien? And here it's llevarse es get along. Yeah. Get along. ¿Con quién te llevas muy bien? It could be con quién, it could be con quiénes. Quizás con quiénes, with whom, if you name more than one person, right? ¿Sí? Y perdón, llevarse. Llevarse es get along, get along with somebody. ¿Y qué ropa llevabas para tu empleo en la oficina? What kind of clothing did you used to wear in office, yeah, in person, en persona, ¿sí? Para mucha gente que no trabaja en persona, no importa. Se puede llevar, sí, una camiseta, sí, pero ¿qué ropa llevabas para tu empleo en la oficina? Whenever you were at your in-office kind of job, what did you used to wear? See, and there it's talked about wearing as in clothing items. So you'll see those in the breakout rooms when you go in. 7 minutos son suficientes. 7 minutes, about a good amount of time. ¿Sí? ¿Para hablar? Sí, perfecto. Ok, vale. Bueno, ¿dónde está el botón? Aquí se dice breakout rooms. And when you hit the join button, I'll be able to pop those questions into the breakout room with you. Aquí, bien. Y otra vez voy a poner el cronómetro para 7 minutos. And once again, I'm going to set my little stopwatch to 7 minutes. Y bien. Oh, that's going to take us right up to almost right up to our time here. Y nos queda mucho tiempo. We're going to put out a message so people know they've got about 1 more minute to finish up. Okay. Perfecto. Perfecto. Excelente. Aquí vienen. Oh, and let me hit my stop share too, because that helps bring other people back into the big room. Fantástico. A ver. There's one little hangnail thing I want to include as we come back on this llevar, something that really wasn't brought out in the video, but you may actually hear. ¿Dónde está mi? Ah, sí. Ah, bien. Ok. Vale. Bueno. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Any kind of question you had on using these? Anything that didn't go quite so smoothly, or you just wonder about how would you say something differently? See, Carrie.
I was asking this in our group too. I hear Jabo, I hear Yabo. I'm not sure how to pronounce the llevarse. I mean, it's the double L's.
Oh, how to pronounce that? Wow, sí, es un tema polémico. That is a little bit controversial, but not super controversial. Okay. It's commercial because, or controversial because sometimes actually most people are pretty chill about it, but every once in a while you get somebody who says, These people sound so gringo. They're just doing a llevo, 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 llevo. There's some people who get a bug up their bonnet about it. Let's put it that way. Okay. Generally, the double L and the Y can get some kind of dialectal little variations. Okay. The far-flung variation is something you only hear in certain very specific areas. Okay, so the far-flung variation of the double L is the zh, like Dr. Zhivago. That zh, that exists. But generally, if you pronounce everything like a zh, llevar, you're going to, they automatically peg that person and must be from Buenos Aires or Paraguay, Uruguay, those little areas. Those are very specific. And even in Argentina, if you go west to the West Country, far away from Buenos Aires, you will not hear the zh. So it's a dialect thing. So I always recommend to people, unless you have friends in Buenos Aires, unless you're going to Buenos Aires, ditch the zh. Will you hear it? Yes, you'll hear it if somebody's from that place, but otherwise you won't. But what is kind of accepted with that elye is that it can range from a simple y kind of sound to a little bit of a j with the y sound. So, okay. And the variations in between are considered okay. Although some people do get kind of a bug up their bonnet and they say it sounds kind of gringo to only say llevar, llevar, llevar. It's hard for me. Llevar, llevar. I almost always have a little tiny itty bitty J with the llevar, llevar. But it's very llevar, right? I could send it to a video about it, Carrie, but to be honest with you, by the time you got to about minute 10 of the 20 minutes of this guy going like crazy on this issue, you'd be like, that's enough. Cut it off. Yeah. So a little tiny j with the y sound is generally, I think, pretty common. Yeah. So some people think it sounds a little too gringo if it's only the Y, but then, you'll get other people who say, well, no, everybody where I live, they say, llevo, 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 no. But those gradations with how much je goes in with that, a teeny tiny piece of the je. Yeah. Teeny tiny piece. Bien. Okay. One thing I want to fit in, because he didn't really talk about this, but this is something you may hear somebody using with llevar. Llevar. You may hear this, and it's kind of a specific structure. So this is going to be a structure. Sometimes you'll hear llevar used with a period of time again. And not talking about like how long have you lived here, but how long have you been doing something? So llevar with some kind of a duration of time. Oh, so it can't be time like martes, Tuesday, or it's got to be a chunk of time, a duration of time. And you might hear an ando or yendo verb. So you may hear llevar used with an ando yendo, and it'll be like saying, I've been doing whatever it is for this amount of time. Okay. So you may hear an ando yendo. Un ejemplo. Aquí tengo instrucciones pueden ver las instrucciones de asamblea. These are assembly instructions, ¿sí? Sí. El nuevo gabinete, ¿sí? Bien, perfecto, perfecto. Pero aquí, instrucciones y además, más instrucciones. Ok, podría decir, I could say, ay, Dios mío, llevo media hora leyendo estas instrucciones. Wow, I've been reading these instructions for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I've been doing it. I've been reading. I've been reading. Leyendo. I've been reading. Llevo media hora, my duration of time, leyendo estas instrucciones. See? If mom has been cooking for 2 hours, some intense recipe, see? Ay, Dios mío, llevo 2 horas cocinando y ahora no comes nada. I've been cooking for 2 hours and now you're not eating anything? Así, like that. So you may hear it with an ando yendo. Llevo 2 horas cocinando. I've been cooking for 2 hours. You may hear that as well. See? Bien?
Marilyn,
Sí, Laura.
so you would say, you would conjugate llevo, and then you have the time in the middle, and then you have the
And
ando
yendo.
yendo.
Yeah, and that gives that rolling feel of time, that time's been moving along for whatever that duration of time is. So you may hear llevar used that way. So that's a little tour of llevar. Yeah, see? Bien. One thing I want to work on next week, because this came up as a request as well, is that there are a lot of people who still want to do some practice. And I think we're going to do some visual built-in practice afterwards. I will be sending you off next week, and I'm just going to play like about a minute of this as an intro, but I'll send you the link for this later on.
Is this.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Anytime Español.
Oops,
Today,
let's skip that. We're going to...
Or in the description below.
we've seen before that a direct object answers a question.
This direct object and indirect objects. So in other words, that confusion we get between lo, la, and the le thing. And why does that happen?
Question, what or whom receives the action
send
of
you
a
off
verb.
with
But an indirect object answers the question to whom or for whom an action is performed, highlighting the recipient. So if we have the sentence, mandé la carta a mi abuelo, we just have to ask the question to whom or for whom I sent the letter, a mi abuelo. So abuelo is the indirect object.
Or if we have the example, entregué las facturas al contador. So to whom or for whom did we deliver the receipts?
So entregué las facturas would be like saying I handed off the receipts. I handed over. Entregar is a fancier word than dar. Okay, it's a fancier word. So when you go to your tax person with that box full of little receipts, yeah, that's entregar because you're handing them over. Yeah, you're delivering them. But a lot of people get confused about why do I use a le and why do I sometimes use a lo or a la or a las or all those, and I still get confused between these. Okay, you got to think about what the action of that verb is. So this video is going to help you kind of figure out how do I figure out between a le or les and the lo or the la or the los or the las. So direct objects versus indirect objects. You have to know what that activity of the verb is. And when we have a verb like entregar, hand over, deliver, hand in, turn in, that activity, if you were going to say, look at the information there of las facturas al contador. You're not picking up the accountant and handing the accountant over to anybody. So contador cannot be a direct object. Entregar means to hand in, turn in, deliver something. Pick it up and you plop it on somebody's desk or, you know, in their room, in their office, wherever. And that activity of doing that, handing something in, turning something in, the thing you're turning in is not the accountant. It would make no sense. So there, contador cannot be a direct object, right? But somebody does take in that thing we call facturas, the receipts, the bills, the pieces of paper with dollar amounts on them, facturas. Somebody does take those little pieces of paper. And that person who takes that little piece of paper, that's the contador. That's how you know that contador is the indirect object. The indirect object gets all those little pieces of paper. But you're not picking up the accountant and setting his butt on the counter someplace. Yeah, okay. That would create a silly visual in your brain. Yeah. Another example of that could be something like horneé, I baked. Horneé galletas para mis hijos. I baked cookies for my kids. Hornear means to bake. You got to know what that activity means. It means you're baking. It would be silly to say, I am baking my kids. That's Hansel and Gretel stuff. You take the kids and you shove them in the oven. Well, of course not. It creates a silly thought in your mind, right? Yeah. Kids are not a direct object. So these kind of things that, well, it's silly to say you bake the kids. It's silly to say you pick the accountant up and set his butt down on the counter. Those silly thoughts, those are indirect objects. They're getting whatever that direct object is. The little kids are getting galletas, cookies. They're the ones getting the cookie. Oh, we know that kids are indirect. Oh, we know that contador, accountant, he's getting facturas, those little pieces of paper with dollar amounts on them. We know that contador is indirect. So you have to create a mental picture, right? Because the rub is that sometimes people can be direct objects. Okay. And so the difference is knowing when a human being is a direct object and when a human being is an indirect object. An indirect object is almost always going to be a human being, but sometimes a human being can be a direct object. And how do you know which? Well, you know it from whatever that action is in the verb, but you have to know what that verb means. So this little video is going to walk you through some of that and try to help you distinguish. It's a matter of distinguishing what that activity is, knowing what the definition of that is. So you're going to have that, and we're going to come back and practice. But when we practice it next week, we're going to practice it visually with responding to a situation you see in a photo, because that's how we talk back and forth with people. Yeah. And knowing which little pronoun is going to plug in correctly. Because the reason for using these pronouns is just to make our communication shorter. When we respond to a question, we don't want to keep repeating the same longer strings of words over and over again. So pronouns have a job of shortening our communication. Okay, so that we take a little verbal shortcuts by using pronouns. But a lot of time knowing which pronoun you're going to use, that can be kind of tough. Okay, bien. And you're also going to get a video, which will be more of a listening comprehension. We'll have some, we're going to have some questions keyed to these. It's the Language of Love book, which I think has been translated in a whole bunch of different languages. And so the listening comprehension is going to be, ¿cuál es tu lenguaje? ¿Cuál es tu lenguaje del amor? What is your love language? It talks about the ways we show love to people. So that is going to be more of our story-oriented, what's the big idea in the video versus the nitpicky grammar thing. See, the nitpicky grammar thing, we're going to have to use off-the-cuff responses. I don't want you to be able to prep ahead of time. Yeah, because the key is in real life, we don't get time to prep those pronouns. We have to be able to use them or not. But the questions keyed in with the video, those you'll see ahead of time. Sí, ¿está bien?
Sí.
Bien, bien, perfecto. Okay, so some thematic questions that you'll get to prep the questions for ahead of time. But our pronoun questions, I want you to think about what's indirect and what's indirect, and then we'll use some pictures to prompt those next week. Todo bien. Ok.
Gracias.
Vale. De nada. Fue un placer y espero que ustedes tengan muy buena semana, sí, y muy buen fin.
Marilyn?
Sí.
Can I just say before everyone goes, Monday is when registration opens for summer session.
Oh, sí, gracias. I know, summer. Llega el verano, llega ya va a llegar el verano. Summer's going to come already. Next week, Monday, is when sign up is going to start for summer session. Good Lord, already. Yeah. So, especially I say that for if you've got grandkids who are like going into tennis classes or swim sessions and you need that time slot, do be aware that Monday is sign up day for summer because a lot of times people need a coveted time and they want to sign up right away at 8 o'clock. Otherwise, their time slot that is preferred gets booked real quickly. So that is coming up as well. Muchísimas gracias. Oh, one last quick thing. Casi se me olvidó. I almost forgot. Somebody has sent this along. This is something that you may be interested in, but it is not coming up until May. So I'm going to send you the link to this. And kindly, someone shared this with me. This is a little talk that will be all in Spanish. Wow. But it will be kind of a higher level. It will probably be perfect for people in this segment. If you're interested, this is down in Mesa. So it's a bit of a drive and it's down in the traditional old downtown segment of Mesa. It is going to be an archaeological talk in Spanish. Wow. Arizona Museum of Natural History. Archaeology of the Ice Age megafauna hunters. Wow. There's a specific topic. Sonora en Arizona. El 2 de mayo, the 2nd of May, el 2 de mayo. So I'll send information with that link on how to sign up if that's something you're interested in going to at some time. ¿Sí bien?
Sí. Gracias.
Perfecto. Bueno, entonces, sí, muy buena semana y nos vemos más tarde. See you guys later. Sí, cuídense.
Adiós.
Bye bye. Adiós.